Hello again, everybody. Welcome to 7 Minutes or Less, where in 7 minutes or less we try to answer a question about a topical Christian subject. Now, last week on the show, we talked about consumer Christianity, and we discussed at length how people get involved with consumer Christianity instead of doing the Word and being part of what Jesus put us on this earth to do and to bear fruit for Him. And so anyway, briefly explain it real quickly, Brother Bruce, and tell us real quickly, and then we're going to get into how we can maybe overcome it.
Yeah.
So briefly.
So really, it's in today's culture, we think we're just consumers. We're out to get what we can get for the best price. And it spills over in the church when we start looking for churches that meet our needs and fulfill us. The music is just right. They have all kinds of special programs for my family, various members of my family. So church becomes really just a product that we're looking to fulfill ourselves. We are at the center of it, and that's consumer Christianity.
Okay. So last week I quoted a pastor who had a large church, and his name is Kerry Niehoff, or Niehoff. I can't pronounce his name. It looks German. But anyway, he said, "I'm increasingly convinced that church shopping kills disciples. Pick a church, join that mission, stick with it, forget what it can do for your family, give yourself away, and in that you will find life." So with that, how can we overcome this consumer Christianity?
Yeah, I think I told you last week that I was one of the original church shoppers. I was 15, radically converted, started looking for a church that met my needs. I heard people say, well, this church feeds me, and so I thought, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for a church that feeds me. And I found a church that fed me, I thought, and I was getting ready to join, and I visited another church. And when I went there to the other church, I sat in the service and I didn't particularly like the music. It was packed. It was 1974. The church was packed, people in the balcony, people everywhere. But the church seemed rather boring to me, the service. I just didn't quite make it for me. And I stood up at the last hymn and I said, you know what, Lord, I'm going to join this church because this church needs me. And I went down front to join the church. Well, here's the essence of what I found. The church didn't really need me. I needed the church far more than they needed me. But in that experience of deciding I was joining a church in order to give myself in service to those people and beyond the walls of that church, it changed church for me. Church became a fellowship in which we grow together in faith, but we also serve the community and reach out in the name of Christ to people. And it's about us giving ourselves, not what we're getting, but giving ourselves. And to that, I committed myself for all these years. And so I really think that pastor is right. There is fulfillment in figuring out that church and worship is about us giving ourselves. It isn't about us approving of everything and it feeding us. It's about Jesus' call to us to take up our cross and follow Him. And that is all about giving ourselves, giving our lives to others and to the people within the church and growing in faith with them.
So it's a very interesting concept. It's not the way people approach things at all.
Yes.
It's really unusual. I go back to what Kerry said. He would rather sweep floors in a church that I don't like and that's being effective than spend 1,000 days in some place where only the already convinced feel self-gratified.
Yeah, who wants to go to a church when you really think about it that doesn't need you at all? It doesn't matter whether you show up or not.
But you can't do. But you personally, as a minister, preaching a gospel or preaching the sermon, the message, you still can't make those people do what they need to do. So how do you convince them? What do you say to them as a minister, as a preacher? What do you say? What can you say?
Well, I think it's just exactly what's been said. Jesus told us that this is the way to fulfillment. If you want fulfillment, give yourself. Don't just think about the next thing you're going to consume. And the same holds true in the church. Think about, even in the little things, how can I serve those around me and love those around me? And in the church, by the way, I like finding a church where, yes, I have friends, but maybe even where some people rub me the wrong way or I don't agree with them. That is a growing edge too, to be with people and come to appreciate their perspective helps you grow in the faith too. Instead of everybody being the same, thinking the same, having the same thoughts and viewpoints, it just helps to be in a more interesting and challenging place.
Thank you so much. This has been very interesting. I mean, when you suggested this particular subject, I thought, this is fabulous. You know, I got to reading about it, and you just do not think about it until it's brought to your attention. And it puts puts you in a whole new realm, so to speak, of what's going on. You know, what you should be doing, I guess.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for this. I don't know what we'll talk about next week, because this has been very, very interesting these last 2 weeks. But thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here on part 2 of this 7 minutes or less of what it is to be a consumer Christian. Very interesting concept. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tony.